back. Come on back. All right, guys, let's head that way.
Well, hello. My name is Ron Shaffer, and I'm proud to be president of Johnstown Wire Technologies. And don't worry, I'll be brief. I know it's hot and everybody's very patient. Johnstown Wire has a long history in the community, going back 100 years, and we'd like to be here for another 100 as well. Currently, we employ about 250 hardworking, very dedicated people, and make me proud to be the president here. We're also happy to take this opportunity to let you know that we have been owners for Johnstown Wire for a couple of years, and they've been investing in our future. Right behind these blue and gold machines you see back here are two new state-of-the-art wire drawing machines that will help us be here for another 100 years. Along with that, there's another capital improvements badly needed in this mill that they've invested. So I'm proud to be here, and I thank all of you for being here. At this point, I would like to introduce to you former President Bill Clinton. Secretary Hillary Clinton. Senator Kaine. And his wife, Ann Holton.
Johnstown Wire, and thank you for welcoming us. I want to thank Jim and Ron, and had a great chance to visit with Nick a little bit and heard about what y'all do. It is a treat for us to bring our bus tour here. You can see my voice has gotten a little hoarse this week. I don't know why. It's not like I've been doing a lot of talking. I want to say a special thanks to Leo Gerard, the head of the Steelworkers. Leo's so good to have him. The largest steelworker union in International, the largest steelworker local, is in Newport News, Virginia. Local 8888, which is the manufacturers who build the most complicated things on the planet, the nuclear aircraft carriers and subs. And so we're glad to have our steelworkers there in the union. This has been an incredible week. My wife Ann, who up until a couple of days ago was the Secretary of Education in Virginia, but she stepped down to campaign full time so that we could get Hillary Clinton elected president. The week has been amazing. I'm just really humbled and honored to be part of this ticket. Being asked by a public servant who is as superb as Hillary Clinton to join her on this ticket and to do good things for the economy, to grow it so that all benefit, to make us strong in the world with stronger alliances, to build a community of respect. It's deeply humbling. There has only been one bad thing about being asked to join this ticket, and I'll just be blunt about it. Once I was on the ticket, Donald Trump had decided how he was going to make fun of me. So he basically decided at a press conference a couple days ago, really hurt my feelings by saying what a lousy governor of New Jersey I had been. When you work hard in public life, and then somebody trashes your record, you feel bad. But I was feeling bad for a few minutes, and I thought, wait a minute, I wasn't governor of New Jersey. I've never lived in New Jersey. I was governor of Virginia, so then I started to feel better. You got to give the guy a break. He's new at this. He's still getting briefing memos about 50 states, and New Jersey's different than Virginia, so give him time, I guess, give him time. Well, look, I took this nomination a couple of days ago, and I talked about my own background, which makes me feel proud to be here. I was talking to Jim and Ron and Nick as we came in. I grew up in Kansas City, and my dad ran an organized ironworking and welding shop in the stockyards of Kansas City. My mom was his best salesman. My brothers and I worked in a manufacturing business that is pretty similar to this, except a whole lot smaller. 5 employees plus family in a bad year, 8 employees plus family in a good year. But I know the deep importance of manufacturing, the deep importance of cooperation between management and union labor, and that's why I'm so glad to come here today. And we're on this tour so that we can talk about the American economy, to talk about manufacturing, to talk about the way to grow jobs and make sure that everybody benefits from our economic growth, not just a few. And that's why I admire Hillary so very, very much. Hillary also grew up in a small business family. We were comparing notes. The businesses were different. But one thing's the same. If you grew up in a small business family, everybody, it's all hands on deck, just like this campaign. Everybody comes down and the kids come down. If you got to get an order out, or if it's a holiday or a weekend and something is needed, everybody gets pressed into service. And she learned those same values growing up in her family in suburban Chicago. She's been living them for her entire career. And she's got just about the best life partner that you can imagine if you're trying to serve others. Please give a great round of applause. For all of us on stage, and frankly for anybody who's got their values straight, it's not about title. It is not about money. It is not about prestige. It's not about popularity. It's about what you can do to help folks out. And that's why I'm so excited to be here on this tour with Hillary, Bill, and my wife, Ann. For us to just be sitting on a bus shooting the breeze with Hillary and Bill Clinton, I got to tell you, I'm still sort of pinching myself. And yesterday, we have a boy in the Marines who deployed overseas earlier this week, and we were able to, we were able to get him on the phone and have him talk to our running mates, and man, that just blew him away. That's something that he felt so good about many time zones away. But look, we're here because the convention was great. And Pennsylvania did a superb job. We think we know hospitality in Virginia, but Philly and Pennsylvania did a superb job. But this is the part of the campaign I like best. Not in the suit, but with the jacket off and with the tie on, just going out and pounding the pavement. 100 days from now, and we are pounding the pavement to make sure we win. On this bus tour, which is in Pennsylvania and Ohio, we're talking about creating jobs, raising wages, and the leadership that we need to show in order to make that possible. In this county, you've got 129 manufacturing businesses, just like Johnstown Wire, that employ nearly 4,000 people. And Hillary's going to talk at some length about our Make It in America plan that will invest $10 billion in communities just like Johnstown. We'll put workers first. We'll put their wages first. We'll put their families first. We'll reject trade agreements like the TPP that don't meet the standards that are there. And we need to do something that has a direct tie to Johnstown Wire's business, which is invest in infrastructure so that everybody's able to get around. We can have a power grid that works. We can have bridges that are solid, because these kinds of jobs and infrastructure hire people today and raise our platform of economic success down the road. This way to build the economy is all about. It's just one of the few issues at stake in the campaign, but it's really the most important one. Because if we can build those ladders of success for every community and every industry and every region, then our country's going to be very, very strong. We saw in Philadelphia this week a united Democratic Party. And look, for Dems, that's not always like just an automatic. Let's just be honest. We came in and there were challenges because we are a family that doesn't mind airing debates and having robust debates. And there were challenges on Monday morning, but by Thursday night, when our candidate hit the stage, took the nomination, and laid out her vision for the country, they saw the Democrats pull together behind a relentlessly upbeat and patriotic view of this country, right? And aren't we all patriots and aren't we all patriots? I think the vision we put on display was a sharp contrast from a darker and more twisted version that we saw in Cleveland. And we like being the upbeat, positive. We don't sugarcoat stuff. We don't whitewash challenges. But we know we can solve our challenges because of you. This election, the stakes are very clear and the stakes are very high. It's a choice between a leader who's been working her entire life on behalf of families and children, or somebody who's spent his entire life watching out for himself. And often watching out for himself no matter who gets hurt. There's a story that the campaign has told of a guy named Andrew Tesoro, who's an architect. You might have seen it. There's a video and an ad. And the reason we mention him, he lives in New York, but he's been teaching over at Carnegie Mellon, so that's why I wanted to mention him. Donald Trump hired him as an architect to design a clubhouse for one of his golf courses. That was a huge honor to him. He believed Donald Trump. He believed he could do good work for him, and he did. He honored his part of the bargain. He designed and they built this clubhouse in this very nice place. But as he so often does, Donald decided, hey, I can stiff this guy. And he even told him, you know what, because you're a nice guy, I'll pay you half. You know, if you didn't like him, he was going to pay him less than that. And Andrew couldn't hire the phalanx of lawyers to go after a big machine like the Trump machine. And so I guess he figured, well, I guess probably can't go after him, so maybe I'll have to settle for half. But after he did that, Trump had second thoughts about paying him half. He bullied this guy, this small business owner, this entrepreneur. He threatened him. He said he'd tie him up with work forever. And so the guy basically had to settle for virtually zip when he had already done all the work. He had already paid for all of his, all of his folks and all the entire project and built the clubhouse that Trump gets to take advantage of and enjoy. This was a small business that took a punch because they believed Donald Trump. So when it comes to Trump, there are just too many stories like that. I talked about it at the convention the other night. So many people, when they believed in him, they found out they got sniffed. And now he's still saying, hey, folks, believe me. We've got a candidate who respects you enough to lay out a plan. Here's what I'll do. Here's how I'll do it. And I thought one of the best lines that Hillary said the other night was, I've got details, but remember, if it's about your own kid, or it's about your own business, it's not a detail, it's a big deal. And you ought to have to tell people what you're doing. But Tracy says, look, believe me, trust me, and we'd be fools to do it. I can't help but think of what would have happened if my dad's business had been trying to do work with 7 or 8 employees for a guy like Trump, who just felt like he could use them and then just kick them aside. I wouldn't have the opportunities I have today had my dad dealt with people like that when he was running his iron worker shop. So the last thing I'll say before I bring up the Secretary is this. Virginia and Pennsylvania share something common, and that is we call ourselves a Commonwealth, not a state. There's 46 states, and there's 4 Commonwealths: Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Mass, and Virginia. Once when I was lieutenant governor, I went to a school, and I talked to a student just about your age, young lady, standing right in front of me. And I was in a classroom, and a little girl asked me, hey, why are we a Commonwealth and everybody else is states? And I did what a good politician does, who doesn't know the answer. I made something up on the spot. And I said, Commonwealth, state is a dotted line, it's geography. Commonwealth says it's something about our values, the wealth we hold in common. It's got to be about the community. It's got to be about bringing everybody together. In Pennsylvania, you have the boldness to say that's how you want to be known. And in Virginia, we have the boldness to say that's how we want to know. That's our values, the wealth we hold in common. And those are Hillary Clinton's values too. So I'll just ask you this last question and then bring up our next president. I think as far as it goes with the economy, we got a really, really clear choice. And I'll boil it down to this. Johnstown, Pennsylvania, do you want your hired president or your fired president? I mean, I don't think it could be any simpler. We've got your hired president and Hillary Clinton. And I'm so glad to be elected, and I'm so glad to be able to talk to you. What do you think?
Tim Kaine, you're hired because you've just got a great look at why the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia keep promoting him. Started off on the City Council of Richmond, went on to become mayor of his hometown, got elected lieutenant governor, then governor, and now United States Senator. Because he's someone who really instills confidence in those whom he serves. And as America gets to know him, that's exactly what I think will happen as well. We've had an incredible week here in Pennsylvania. I can't tell you how much I love being here. And some of you may know that my father was from Scranton. My grandfather came as a small child from England, an immigrant to Scranton with his family. He worked in the Scranton Lace Mills, a factory his entire life, because he believed that he could produce a better life for his children, and he did. And every time I come to Pennsylvania, I think about the many journeys we made from where we lived outside of Chicago to Scranton every single year. We would go every summer, we went some Christmases. I was brought back, as were my brothers, to be christened in the little Court Street Methodist Church. We really have a great deal of love and affection for Pennsylvania. My father, plus one of my brothers, played football at Penn State. So it's always a joy for me to be here and to come to Johnstown, a place that I've been to before, and look forward to coming back and being here. And having this opportunity to come and visit with you. I want to thank Ron and Jim for welcoming us. Nick, thank you for explaining some of the work you do and telling us that Nick was a Marine at Camp David when Bill was president. We've actually met him in his prior life, so that was a very special treat. I want to thank my friend, Leo Gerard, a man who has fought for justice, for working families in America and North America. and who sets a great example, as does this company, where business and labor work together. And Ron and Jim told me about something called gain share, where when you get more productive, don't have as much scrap, those gains are shared. That's what I believe we ought to be doing in every single business in our country. So on Thursday, I was incredibly humbled and grateful to accept the Democratic Party nomination. I have to tell you, it was pretty overwhelming to be out there and to think about the awesome responsibility of taking on the challenges facing our country. But I'm an optimist, and I'm confident, because I think if you look at American history, that's how we get things done. It's not the whiners and the complainers and the insulters who move our country forward. It's the workers and the builders. It's people who get up every day and try to figure out how it's going to be better for them and their families. So then yesterday, Tim and I and Ann and Bill hit the road, going across Pennsylvania. Sorry we were a little late. The rain was really heavy, and we have kind of a long convoy, so I apologize for that. But we are visiting places that prove what Americans can do. We are the most productive, competitive workers in the world. We just need to give our people the chance to succeed. So from Philadelphia to Hatfield to Harrisburg and now here in Johnstown, that's exactly what we're doing. We're talking to people, meeting people who have each other's backs. And you truly are the reason why I have so much confidence that America's best days are still ahead of us. So, it's in stark contrast to the vision that Donald Trump is laying out, because I don't think we're weak. I don't think we're in decline. I think we can pull together because we are stronger together. And if anybody like him spent a day on the factory floor here, they'd see what teamwork looks like. They'd understand what it means to create and build. Every day, you are showing that America is home to the best products, the hardest workers, the most innovative entrepreneurs in the world. And so as we are honest about our challenges here at home and abroad, let's start from understanding that this country and our people have what it takes to get ahead and stay ahead if we have the leadership that gives us that chance. And most of all, we know better than to believe anyone who says, I alone can fix it. Right? Those were actually Donald Trump's words at the Republican convention in Cleveland last week. And I think they should set off alarm bells for everybody. Because by saying that, he's forgetting what all the rest of us do every day. He's forgetting our troops on the front lines, our businesses who see possibilities in every problem, our unions who fight for working families every day. Forgetting companies like this one that invest in employees. Americans don't say, I alone can fix it. We say, okay, how are we going to fix this together? How are we going to raise our family, build a business, heal our community, lift the country? And that's why we have to stand together. My grandfather, as I said, worked at the Scranton Lace Mills from the time he was a teenager until he retired at age 65. It was dangerous work in those days, but he was one of the kindest and gentlest men I've ever known. He knew that hard work in America meant that his family would get ahead, that it would pay off. And he was right. My dad, as I said, made it to college, made it to Penn State. Now, if he were still alive, he'd tell you it's because he played football. But that's okay. He got an education. He was proud to get it. He started working as a salesman, enlisted in the Navy after Pearl Harbor. And when the war was over, he started his own small business, printing fabric for draperies, and it was a really small business. He would recruit my mother and brothers and me. He had a print plant. Didn't have any natural light. It was a pretty dark place. But it had long tables where the fabric would be rolled out, and then the silk screens would be laid on the fabric, and then the paint for the color that you wanted to put on the fabric would be poured onto the silk screen, and then we would take a squeegee, and one person on one side of the table, another person on the other side, sometimes me, we'd take that squeegee, we'd roll it, and have exactly the right pressure to the other side of the silk screen, lift it up, move the screen, go down the table, keep going. I remember watching my dad standing for hours over those silk screens. Why did he do it? Because he wanted to give my brothers and me opportunities he never had. And he did. I believe every single family in America deserves that same chance in 2016. And you know, I know we're living in a time of really hot politics. People say all kinds of things. Hateful things, insulting things. I'm sorry about that. I think we should have a much better dialogue and debate so that voters can decide which way they want to go. And sometimes because of all of the static going back and forth, we lose track of where we are. We've come a long way since the worst financial crisis in a generation. And it could have gotten a whole lot worse, my friends. When I think back to 2008, I was in the Senate then, before I accepted President-elect's offer, President-elect Obama's offer to become Secretary of State. We were losing 800,000 jobs. 9 million Americans lost their jobs. 5 million homes were lost. But it's fair to say, we did not know where the bottom was. Unemployment, over 10%. Stock market, down to 7,000. This was one of the riskiest economic moments in our country's recent history. And I will say it, I don't think President Obama and Vice President Biden get the credit they deserve for doing what they had to do to save our economy. And one thing they saved, and they saved it over the opposition of the Republican Party, they saved the American auto industry, which is a big customer of this plant. I found that debate back then just unbelievable. People saying, giving speeches, let the American auto industry just fall. Millions of jobs were at stake. Many millions more families of the people who worked in the American auto industry. And I'm proud that it was saved, and I'm even prouder that it had the best year it's had in a long time last year on behalf of selling American-made automobiles. So that's progress. And I just want people, as we go into this election, to be fair. Because yes, we do have work to do. We can't be satisfied with the status quo. I'm not by a long shot. We're still facing deep-seated problems that developed long before that recession that stayed with us through the recovery. But let's be fair and let's be clear about where we've come from and where we need to go. And let's not buy the same failed economic policies that got us into the mess we were in the first place. You know that old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. When people come around and say they're going to cut taxes on the wealthiest Americans, we have seen this before, and it does not turn out well. And it's about time we say, no, we are going to make the wealthiest Americans, for a change, pay their fair share of taxes. country talking to working families across America, and I've heard all the concerns people have that, you know, the economy isn't working the way it needs to. Too many people feel like they're out on their own. No one has their back. Well, I can tell you that Tim Kaine and I will get up every single day. We will fight for you. We will work for you. We will look out for you. How do you know that? Because I've actually told you what I want to do. I'm not standing here insulting my opponent and making crazy promises. I'm telling you what I want to do. I actually have plans. Some people make fun of me for having plans. Yeah, I know. It used to hurt my feelings, it doesn't anymore. You know, at each of our conventions, you get 4 days to tell the country what you want to do. That's what they're supposed to be for. At the Republican convention, they spent more time on insults for me than on jobs for you. Donald Trump spoke for 75 minutes and offered 0 solutions. Now, I don't think that's good enough. I have this old-fashioned idea, if you're going to ask somebody for their vote, we owe you a clear explanation of what you're going to get for it. And I have said from the beginning of this campaign, my mission from my first day to my last will be to create more opportunity and more good wages that will give people a chance at their own dreams. We're going to create jobs in Pennsylvania and across America, especially in places that have been left out and left behind. And that means from our inner cities to our small towns, to Indian country, to coal country, from communities ravaged by addiction, like too many in this county. I believe with all my heart that the economy should work for everyone, not just those at the top. Leo knows because when I was a senator from New York, I was privileged to work with him, to stand up for steel workers, to start the very first manufacturing caucus in the United States Senate. I had no idea then that I was going to run for president. What I cared about is that I had lots of great people in New York who saw their jobs leave, who lost them to automation and technology, who were the victims of efforts to bust unions and undercut fair wages and benefits. So what I wanted to do was to make it clear that in America we're going to keep making things. Anyone willing to work hard should be able to find a job that pays well enough to support a family. That's the basic target of America. So here's how we're going to do it. Within the first 100 days of our administration, we are going to break the gridlock in Washington and make the biggest investment in new good-paying jobs since World War II. We will start by making the boldest investment in American infrastructure since we built the interstate highway system back in the 1950s. Now, Donald Trump may think we never win anymore and our country is full of losers, but boy, is he wrong. We still do big things, and we can do more big things. We're not going to build a giant wall. We're going to build roads and bridges and tunnels and ports and airports and water systems and a new electric grid. And we're going to connect up all of America to high-speed internet connectivity. Yesterday night in Harrisburg, we had a great rally at the Broad Street Market, if any of you know that. We were outdoors, a beautiful night. And I said, you know, I'm not just talking about traditional infrastructure. I'm talking about, you know, broadband, virtual infrastructure, electricity. And I made a point that some teachers told me. There had been a recent survey. 70% of teachers said that they assign homework that requires the student to go on the internet. Well, you know, that makes sense. If you're going to live in an information age, you want your kids to be prepared and smart and savvy about how to use the internet. But here's the kicker. 5 million kids in America don't have access at home to high-speed internet. And then I was talking to some of the people who were there after the rally, and they said, boy, were you right. We have places in Pennsylvania where it's still dial-up. I mean, how are we supposed to be competitive in the rest of the world if we have smart, hardworking people, their businesses, their kids, that are essentially shut out of being able to access information quickly and use that information? So we're talking broadly here, and I'm going to do everything I can to create a national infrastructure bank so that we are going to have investments made every year, not just when Congress decides to appropriate money for that. The second thing we're going to do is invest in American manufacturing. Anybody who thinks we can't make it in America ought to come to Pennsylvania and do a tour as our impact. You know, the products that you're making here in the Commonwealth are sold all over the world, including products made right here. Ron and Jim were telling me about a big order you had from Bangladesh. You know, we can export. Donald Trump, you hear him, he talks a big game about putting America first. Well, with all due respect, please explain to me what part of America first leads Trump to make Trump dress shirts in Bangladesh, not Ashland, Pennsylvania. Or to make Trump furniture in Turkey, not Freeburg, Pennsylvania. Or Trump picture frames in India, not Bristol, Pennsylvania. In fact, my husband told me on the bus ride here, and I was telling him that I just find it so just maddening that Trump goes around saying this, and all the stuff he makes in other countries. And Bill said, well, you know, this shirt that he has on right now, he said, that's made in Reading, Pennsylvania. Because it just sounds too coincidental. It's made at a company called Bill's. Well, so Donald Trump says he wants to make America great again. Well, he could start by actually making things in America again. Now, if we're serious about investing in American manufacturing, we have to be serious about defending American workers. And that means we've got to defend the right to organize and bargain collectively, which helps to build the American middle class in the first place. That's why I love coming to plants like this that work business and labor together. But that's not Donald Trump. He actually hires union-busting firms to break up organizing campaigns. He did that at the hotel he built in Las Vegas. And then he says he wants to do to America what he's done to his businesses. We can't let that happen. We're going to fight back against attacks on working families, against assaults on the right to organize and bargain collectively. Right to work is wrong for workers, and it's wrong for America. And we're going to say no to unfair trade deals. We're going to stand up to China. We're going to support our steel workers, our auto workers, our homegrown manufacturers. I feel strongly about this, and I need your help. I need your ideas about how we're going to do this. Because I'm sick and tired of us having an open market where everybody gets to sell to us, and they often do it at lower costs, undercutting our workers, our businesses. That's not fair, and it's not right. Now, we've won a few cases, haven't we, Leo, in the International Trade Commission. But we're going to go after that much more aggressively. I will be the first president who has what I'm calling a trade prosecutor to prosecute cases that are